my name is Jeff. I'm a PhD student at CERN from Austria, and here's my movie for the FameLab. I'm going to talk about how easy it is to get a Nobel Prize in physics. There are only two guidelines you have to follow. A, you have to be younger than 29 years old, and B, you are not allowed to die until you actually get the Nobel Prize. The second one is kind of a general rule. The first one is derived from statistics. More than 90% of all the physics Nobel Prize winning ideas have been written down by people younger than 29 years old. And I'm going to demonstrate this fact by talking about cosmic particles. Cosmic particles are particles flying through our universe from every single direction, and they've been doing that for a long time. Right now, actually, there are particles flying through my hand, which we can't feel, but we can make them visible. Because Mr. Wilson, a physicist from the United Kingdom, invented the so-called Wilson chamber. We also like to call it a cloud chamber because it is a chamber filled with clouds. He invented it back in 1911. And so, whenever there's a cosmic particle flying through the cloud, it ionizes the vapor and we can actually see small tracks. Now, back then in 1911, Madame Curie and Monsieur Becquerel already invented radioactivity, so everyone assumed those tracks come from particles that are coming from the Earth. That's the moment when a young Austrian physicist entered the stage. His name was Victor Hess, and the year is 1912, and Victor Hess is actually 29 years old. And he assumed, like everyone else, yeah, those particles probably come from the Earth, but we have to test it. And so what he did is he took a hot air balloon and he went up into the sky. And all he wanted to do is measure how many particles you can actually measure the higher you get. And everyone assumed, well, the higher you get, the fewer particles you are actually going to measure, and that's what Mr. Hess actually wanted to do. And he went up, at some point higher than 5 kilometers, which was amazing for back then, and he barely survived, which again is very important if you actually want to get a Nobel Prize. And so what he did is he went up, but strangely enough, the higher he got, the more particles he could actually measure. And then everything he did then was he came down, barely survived, he jumped out of his hot air balloon, and then he said, guys, the particles, they're not coming from here, they're coming from here. That was his Physics Nobel Prize in 1936. You can actually get a Nobel Prize in physics very easily. You have to be younger than 29 years old, and you're not allowed to die until you actually get your Nobel Prize. But that's kind of a cool rule anyway. So